All right, we're back on the farm stand, and today we're putting up the walls. This is one of those steps where everything starts to come together, or you realize what you should have done differently. Either way, we're doing it. Last time I built the base for this stand, and honestly, that was the easy part. This is where it starts to become what I actually pictured. Right here, I'm adding braces to each of the legs, just making sure everything is solid. And these are actually part of the overall look, too. This is the kind of stuff that would be easy to rush through, but I've been trying to do things differently. Not just build something to get it done, but to build it the way I actually want it. Because if I'm going to put my time into something, I want it to mean something. And that's a big part of the example I'm setting for my kids. I don't want them to grow up thinking you just do things the fastest or the easiest way. I want them to see what it looks like to take your time, to care about what you're building, and to do it the way that you actually want. Because they're watching all of it, not just what I say, but how I actually do things. They think they're helping too. I'm not totally convinced, but they're cute. All right. So moving back to the project, after I got all of the brace pieces cut, I just wanted to go ahead and put them up in their places. And I just love how it's looking at this point. It's so exciting because I can see what it's going to be. And it's turning out exactly as I had pictured. After this, I just decided to give everything another quick sand, all of the pieces. Make sure I got all of the stamps off of the 2x4s. And then I wanted to just make sure I hurried and broke all those edges just so I don't have any pieces that can chip out later. I really like sanding. I know a lot of people think it's the worst part of projects, but once you get the hang of it, I feel like it goes from makes your projects go from just okay to very professional. So I really enjoy it. Plus, it gives me a time to kind of think about all of the different things, all the different thoughts that are going through my head. Um, Gives me a chance to make sure that I'm doing things very intentional with my life. Okay, when I actually attached these braces to the legs, I just went ahead and pre-drilled everything. I used a countersink bit here so that I could sink the screw in and have it go under the wood so that it's not sticking out. I made sure that I pre-drilled everything because I didn't want any of my pieces to split. And I just find that with the 2x4s, that can be a very common problem. So it took me a little bit of time to get this all of these braces attached to the legs, but it's one of those things that once again, I really love woodworking and I love doing these types of projects. So I didn't mind it taking me a little bit of time to actually get those attached. Next up, I went ahead and got some plastic out so that I could do my stain. And it took me a long time to decide on what stain I actually wanted to go with. But I settled on American walnut, and I really love these spray stains. They're just like spray paint. And so they're super easy to apply, especially if you have a lot of, corners and little spaces that you're trying to get into. And makes it a little bit easier than just the traditional stains that when I'm applying. So I really like it. And I also love how even if you don't spray it perfectly even, when you wipe everything down, it just turns out super consistent and it just looks really great when it's finished. So I I love those. I love how easy it is. And then, like I said, once you wipe everything off, even if you have a little bit heavier stain in certain spots, because it goes on so quick, it just is so even when you wipe it off. I feel like this is just one of those really super satisfying parts of the project, which I'm sure I say that a lot, but I think all of it is satisfying. It's probably why I am still doing it. This was a really fun part of the project for me also because um, one of my little ones came wandering in as I was doing this, and he really is excited about the little farm stand, and so he got to help me, and I love that my kids are able to see projects go together and see the whole process and watch them get excited about them coming together. So we had a really good time getting this all stained. You can see him there with his giant gloves. It's one of the important lessons that woodworking teaches you that you don't realize how important it is in life. But, sometimes you end up getting messy and it's okay. And this is one of those times. He was, helping me here on staining this, and he ended up getting his arm covered in it, and it's just fun, just cute. Part of being a a part of childhood that I missed out on, and so I'm so excited that I'm giving those opportunities to just get messy to my kids and letting it be okay. It's also really interesting that with, little kids, if you take the time to see, they see things that you miss, and there's a portion in here where he's pointing out there's a part in here where he points out a spot that I didn't see because he's got a different angle than me, and he sees things different that I see, and I think that that's just, once again, another really important lesson from woodworking that you can miss out on if you're not really present in your life. When I first started staining this, I was planning on just doing the legs and the braces, but as I got further into it, I thought maybe these side pieces would be seen. I'm not 100% sure still what I'm going to do as far as the siding and everything, but in case they are going to be shown or being able to be seen, I did want them to be stained now rather than waiting till the end. And so I just went ahead and finished off the can, doing the edges so that it could all be matching. One of the things that I just love about my kids, and one of the things that they have helped me really add to my life, is how cute and excited they are every morning to wake up. And one of the things that's important to me in building this business is to help other people realize how important it is to create a life that they're excited to wake up to. And I admire this little guy so much because he has that every single morning. He is so excited about what the day can bring. And that's a lesson that we should really take from our kids and run with. After I got all stained, I was able to just take a piece of, this is just a half-inch piece of plywood, and I cut it down on my table saw. I cut it a little bit wider than what the stand is, and then obviously it's very long. So I just took it over there and marked the length. Then I had this piece of foam, and I'm just gonna flip it over and cut that down roughly to the size. I wanted to leave everything just a little bit long at this point so that there was a little overhang on all the edges, because no matter how good you are at building, it seems that there's always just a little bit of things that are not completely straight when you're using wood. And so I just wanted to be able to clean it all up after I put some screws in just to hold it onto the base. And then I used my router with a flush trim bit and just went around the whole thing just to make sure that everything was perfectly flush and the exact size of my base. And this leaves me up for another big decision, which decisions are really hard for me because as a little kid, I always felt like I was choosing wrong. No matter what the choice was, if it was a shirt, I was going to choose the wrong shirt. I could just not make a right choice. And so, one of the things that I have been practicing as an adult is to be able to choose things and know there is no right, there is no wrong. It's just, what are you going to do? So, my decision that I have to make here is what should I do? Should I leave the plywood just unfinished? Should I paint it? Should I stain it? What should I do? What I ended up doing is using that same rubber spray that I had for the the feet and coating the entire thing. My thought here was if anything spills on it or it gets wet or anything, I would be able to wipe it up and it would keep it protected for a really long time. So that's what I decided to go with. Once again, some people might not agree with it, but there is no right and there is no wrong. It's just this is what I decided. So we moved it over and I just grabbed some screws and attached it. And it's looking so awesome. My daughter's getting really excited also. And I just loved watching her walk around and kind of plan out what she's going to put in there, how things are going to be set up. That was just a really cool moment as a mom to be able to see, her get excited about this coming to life. Okay, so up to this point, I have pretty much have done everything following pretty closely to the 3D design that I had created. But after seeing how excited she is getting about this and hearing all her plans that she has for it, and it's just making it feel more real. And the more it starts to come to life, the more I keep thinking about what I actually want it to be. Every time I picture it finished, I see this beautiful timber frame front. And I think I'm just done talking myself into like the practical option. And I want it to build it the way I want to build it the way that I actually see it in my head. And so I'm just going to go for it because if I'm going to do this, I want it to be actually the way that I see it. So the only problem is with that change, um, working on the walls, I'll be able to do 3 of the walls, but that front, I'm gonna have to finish up that timber frame front next time. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and start working on the back wall and the 2 side walls. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm getting everything cut down to size so that it is all so I can get that all framed up. And now I'm just laying out the studs for the first wall, just getting everything spaced evenly. This is one of those parts where it's easy to get off if you're not paying attention. So I just wanted to double check everything. I want to make sure that my spacing is even for when I put the exterior on later. Speaking of exterior, that's another thing that I'm trying to decide what I should use for the exterior. I'm trying to decide, should I do something like plywood or shiplap or maybe even like a board and batten look. Still trying to figure out that. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I assembled these very similar to how I've done everything else, just pre-drill and then screws. Attached the base plate first and then flipped it over and got the top plate attached to all the studs. Okay, so cutting down the last two walls, pretty easy because they are so little and they went pretty quick. But same process as before. Measured everything, made sure that I marked my center, and then I just used pre-drilled and screwed everything together. So those went together pretty easy, quick. And then I was ready to attach all of the walls to the base. Then I just lifted the walls onto the base. I started with the back wall and screwed it in, starting on one side and just marking my way all the way down to the end. Once I got there, I just went ahead and lifted that other wall into its place and clamped it to the back wall since that was already attached, and worked my way from the top down and then screwed that into the base as well. And then it was a matter of just going over to the other side and getting the last wall on. All right, thanks for sticking with me for part 2 of our farm stand build, where we added some braces for the legs, stained the base, added the floor, and made the 3 walls. Next time, we are going to be adding a timber frame front and the roof and the siding. Until next time, I'm Catherine, and this has been KJ Woodworking.